Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Tuesday, it's September 1st, it's 2020, and we have 11 baseball games to talk about here on today's slate. I'm joined by my good buddy for the second straight day, Genie407. Grant, how are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing just wonderful. Been watching Cobra Kai all day long. It is a blast from the past. It is very entertaining, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Cobra Kai, yeah. It's on my queue on good old Netflix. That's on my queue, so we'll have to compare notes. Because we work together a bunch, so we'll have to compare notes and see how we like that one.
Well, I look forward to watching it, my friend.
Yeah, man, 11 games, a lot to talk about. Monday's slate went pretty well for me. So ready to move on to Tuesday, keep it rolling here, and we get started. Washington at Philly, Patrick Corbin, Aaron Nola. Any interest here in Patrick Corbin?
No, none whatsoever. I mean, Philly has a lot of righties in the lineup that can absolutely destroy him. He's been decent so far this season, but he hasn't been anything special. He's priced too high. There's a lot of guys in the upper mid-tier that I think are just much better options. I think Philly actually gets some ownership on the slate, which against Corbin isn't surprising. Like it's just a spot where they have a lot of guys that hit righties or lefties very well. So at 10.2K, I don't have any interest in Corbin.
Yeah, like it's a tough matchup. I'm kind of with you. These guys are the two highest priced pitchers on the slate. I don't feel like we have like an easy option. I think like maybe Hauser is probably like the closest thing to that. Maybe Valdez, but like I like those guys more than I like Nola and Corbin. Like, even if we go to the other side here, especially like if you look at like how well Philly has been against lefties this season, like it really scares you off Corbin. And then like if you look at Nola here, Nola's pitched great. For the most part, the guy's sitting at a 34.8% strikeout rate. But like this team, Washington overall, they don't strike out a ton.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit of a tougher matchup here, but Noel's been so good. The problem is his price tag. Like it's just a really weird slate. I'm going mostly 8K guys. Like those 8K guys are in too good of matchups or too underpriced for what they're going up against. So like that's kind of the reason why I'm not on Noel, but there's absolutely no reason not to play Nola if you have the money for him. Like he's got a 2.15 xFIP on the season, striking out righties at a huge clip, striking out lefties at a decent clip. And he's just been so good so far this season. Nationals only have a 3.9 implied run total against him. Like he's fantastic. He's a very good ace. It's just the way that the slate is kind of looking that I would rather go with a few of the 8K guys. But if I have the money for Nola, I'm absolutely throwing him in. He's probably the top raw points play on the entire slate at pitcher. And I don't think that's really very disputable.
He's my favorite pitcher over 9K, but I don't think that, honestly, it doesn't say much on the slate for me.
He's the only pitcher over 9K I would use.
Yeah, like we got to see what the Arizona lineup looks like, and like if we can kind of feel out, like they moved a lot of people, and we have no idea what to expect lineup wise. But like Urias, he doesn't pitch deep, so like I think I'm with you on that. I think Nola is the play if you're paying up, but I don't see myself using any Washington bats here. Like I love Juan Soto yesterday. I told you guys like he was my favorite play. He was the top play on the slate for me. It worked out. But like I don't see myself playing Washington bats. I think like Soto's always in play, but I don't see myself like going all in like I did yesterday.
Yeah, I think Soto's still in play. It's just the price tag's way too constrictive. I mean, Noel's a lot worse versus lefties than he's versus righties. He's still not bad to either side of the plate. He's a good ground ball pitcher, but Soto hits the ball so hard, and he's a all right fly ball guy. If I'm using anyone else in this lineup, it's probably Thames. Like Nola only has a 24% K rate going up against lefties so far this season. We look back to the last season, it was only 27%. Like it's not the best matchup in the world. I'm probably not going to have exposure to Thames, but if you want to use another guy, and Nola looks like he's going to be chalk. Thames isn't the worst leverage play in the world, Thames and Soto. But outside of that, yeah, I'm just off these Washington bats entirely.
On the Philly side, like you could make an argument for stacking Philly against Corbin, maybe as a leverage play. But outside of that, like, you still got to kind of respect Corbin a little bit, but he does give up a ton of hard contact to righties. This lineup's full of righties. Like I could see this stack like hitting 2 or 3 home runs off of him.
I actually really like Hoskins today. I mean, he's been a little bit hotter recently. Got a home run today. Got 310 ISO going up against left-handed pitching so far this season. Corbin's never been that great versus righties. This season, he's been even worse. Like, you only got a 19% K rate, giving up 53% hard contact. And the main thing is he does get a decent amount of ground balls. But, like, you look at this lineup here, I actually really like the Philly stack. Like, I really like the Philly stack. The more I look at it, like McCutchen, 67% fly ball rate this year. Hoskins, big fly ball guy. Harper, it's lefty-lefty. He's probably my least favorite at 6K, and you don't even need to throw him in your stack. But Real Muto Segura, we know that they have a bunch of lefties in their lineup that absolutely, or righties in their lineup that absolutely mash lefties. You got bombs in there at 3.2K, so it's not hard to fit a full Philly stack here. Like, the more I look at it, the more I really am starting to like it, going a whole bunch of fly ball hitters going up against a ground ball pitcher. And the ground ball pitcher is just like name recognition alone. People are not going to be playing too many Phillies bats, but they have a 4.7 implied run total for a reason. Like, I like Hoskins as a standalone, but I'm starting to talk myself more onto this Philly stack.
Yeah, like I said, I could see a stack working out here. We have some interesting spots on this slate just in general that you can definitely attack, but I do think this is one of those ones that you can kind of just, see how it works out. Because we're gonna see pretty decent ownership on the Giants-Rockies game, I would guess. But it'd be interesting to see where the ownership lies in general on this slate. Jordan Lyles is pitching, so who knows? Raising Yankees, Richards, Tanaka. I'm guessing, is it going to be Tanaka? Like, I've seen mixed reports, but it sounds like it's going to be Tanaka. Do you have any interest here in Richards?
No, none whatsoever. Like, this Yankees lineup, even though it isn't what it normally is, Richards just not great. I mean, I get that he's cheap, but there's no real reason to use him, I don't think. Like, I have no desire to have him in any of my lineups. Like, I'd rather get up to an 8K guy. I'm out on Richards.
Yeah, he is cheap, and I get it, but I don't know. I think there's other guys that you could potentially roll the dice on in this range if you're going to do it at all. So, like, there's so many guys that I like today in this, like, 8K range that, like, I don't think I'll have to go down here. So, I'm probably going to pass on Richards here. And then on the other side, Tanaka, like, I definitely want to respect the Rays lineup for sure. What are your thoughts here on Tanaka?
I mean, he's not going to go late enough into the game. I mean, he hasn't gotten over, 71 pitches on the entire season. Yes, he's 7.6K. Yes, he can be efficient enough to go 5 and maybe get the win. But really, there's no reason to use him. He can put up a 20-point game. There's a lot of good options in the 8K range. Like, the Rays are not the worst lineup in the world, and they've definitely got some guys that can beat him up. So no Tanaka for me.
Let's talk bats. Anything stand out to you for Tampa?
I think Meadows and Lau, like, pretty much the same as every single day. Meadows is probably a little bit too cheap. Like, if you want to do a full stack, I have no problem with it, but Tanaka's not a bad pitcher, and, like, the Yankees bullpen's good. Tanaka will go up a few home runs, specifically to lefties, so I would target Choi, Lau, Meadows in my lineup, but yeah, like, it's mostly Lau and Meadows as one-offs, just because Tanaka will probably give up a bomb in this game, and I'm just hoping it's one of those two lefties, which are the most likely to get it.
I don't mind Yoshi or Choi as well. Tanaka does give up a lot of hard contact and fly balls to lefty. This game's in Yankee Stadium, so Yoshi's sitting at 2.3K, and Choi is at 3.3K. So, like, I don't mind either one of those guys. Like, Yoshi's small sample size, but this guy hits the ball in the air 48% of the time against right-handed pitching. So, definitely don't hate him as a value play at 2.3K. And then on the Yankee side of things, like, I typically don't mind picking on Richards, so I don't mind playing some Yankees bats here. It's just my problem with the Yankees here is, like, this lineup's a little watered down, and, like, the guys I want to play are still almost all over 4K, so it's still kind of tough to make this whole stack work.
I like it. I mean, we don't currently have a line for it, I don't think yet, but they're probably going to have a run total over 5 would be my guess. Probably around 5.2. Yeah, Voit and LeMahieu are the guys I want to use, but Hicks is sitting there at 3.6K. Frazier's at 4K. Urshela's at 3.9K. Troutman is at 3.3K. Sanchez 4.3K. It's not a terribly expensive stack, and on a day where I'm trying to fit in 8K pitchers, that leaves me with the perfect range with stacking up the Yankees. I like it quite a bit today. Like, Richards is just not great. He's not really great to either side of the plate. He gives up a lot of hard contact and fly balls. It is in New York. Like, it's not going to be the greatest weather in the world, but they definitely have a few guys that can hit the ball out. So, like, Hicks is just far too cheap, especially if he's batting third in the lineup. But I like most of the Yankees here, and then it's not too hard to fit in LeMahieu if you throw in some of the cheaper bats in this lineup. So I like them, mostly the 1 through 7 guys, but I'm probably more on the Yankees than you are.
Yeah, I think you are definitely a little bit on them more than me. Moving on. We got the Cubs and the Pirates. John Lester, Chad Cool. Any interest here in Lester?
None. Like, he's just not that great. Like, Pittsburgh is not a great lineup, but they don't strike out a huge clip. He's sitting at way too much at 9.4K. It's a good pitcher's ballpark, but I don't care. I have no interest in Lester. I have no interest in anything in this game.
Yeah, like Pittsburgh, they're still top 10 in like WOBA against left-handed pitching this season. I don't play Lester. I've said this many times. Like, they don't strike out a lot against left-handed pitching either, so I'm probably going to pass on Lester here. And then on the other side, Chad Cool, 20% K rate on the season, 11% walk rate. There's some strikeouts in the Cubs lineup, but again, probably going to pass on him as well.
Yeah, no, like, Cubs line, it's still a good pitcher's ballpark, but the Cubs are too good, and he's too close priced to a lot of other really good arms.
Let's talk bats here. Anything standing out to you for the Cubbies?
No, just no. Like, it Cool's not that great, but I don't like the ballpark. There's too many other good bats on the slate. Like I said, I'm not playing a single guy from this game.
Yeah, Hayward's 2.3K.
I'd take that back. If I really need salary, I might play Hayward.
And I think
He's
like Caratini,
yeah,
3K for a catcher. Hap is not terrible at 4.1K. Like, Schwarber's 4.3K. There's some guys here that I don't hate. Cheap wise, like, they might be like a secondary like stack. Like, if you're stacking cores or something and you need like a secondary cheaper stack, like you could go Hayward, Hap, and Caratini, and like you're saving a ton of money there. So I don't hate that. And then like Pittsburgh, they're cheap. They're really, really cheap. Going up against Lester, this is one of those spots that, like, it's the same spot as yesterday. I think that, you could look at some of these Pittsburgh bats as just, one-offs or two-man stacks to just kind of save some value. Like, Stallings is 2.7K. Ozuna's 2K. Hayes is 2K if he's in the lineup. Sounds like he's going to be in the lineup. They said that he's going to make his debut against the Cubs. So, it's going to be interesting because there's a ton of cheap bats in this lineup.
Yeah. I mean, the more you talk about it, I don't think I'm going to need cheap bats just because of my pitching. But if it works out that way, then yeah, there are some cheap bats in this lineup.
Yeah, like Hayes, man, like cracking the lineup here. 2K, like, I don't know. If both of these teams are like really interesting, like one-offs or like secondary stacks on like an expensive stack just because they're just so cheap. And the position eligibility is pretty decent as well. So definitely going to keep them in mind, when I'm just looking overall at this game or on the slate, just because of like the pricing on them. That's all.
Yeah, that's fair.
The football season is less than 10 days away, and with the reigning champs set to take the field to kick off the season, there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. To celebrate week 1 of the football season, DraftKings is putting you in the center of the action with 2 shots at $1 million top prize. So get in on all the action now. Making it rain with DraftKings is easy. Draft your team, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, and so much more. On top of that amazing offer, DraftKings is giving away a share of up to $100 million in prizes to all users who enter their free football survivor pool. All you have to do is sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook, enter the survivor pool, and you instantly get a share of up to $100 million in giveaways. With all this cash up for grabs, there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings. Download the top-rated DraftKings app now and use promo code GRIND to get a free shot at $1 million top prize. And for a limited time, get your share of $100 million in prizes once you enter DraftKings free Survivor Pool. That's promo code GRIND to get in on all the action for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum $5 deposit required. Other terms and conditions, eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. We're moving on. We got the Braves and the Red Sox. Ian Anderson, Ryan Weber. Any interest here in Anderson?
No, not really. I mean, Red Sox aren't as great as they once were. But like this is just not the slate. He's sent at 6.8K, and I guess if you need some relief, he did pitch well in his first outing here, but not a guy that I think I'm going to use here in the spot.
He's one of like two guys I think you can use under 7K on the slate, but I don't think that's saying much because a lot of these guys are guys you're going to be picking on with bats on the slate. It's more of like Mitch Moreland just got, traded from the Red Sox. JD Martinez is banged up. He's dealing with a hand injury. He didn't play Monday. So like this could be a really watered down Red Sox lineup. So like price wise, if you need it, if this lineup comes out and it's really bad, with a lot of young guys and a lot of strikeouts, I think Ian Anderson's playable. On the other side, I don't think Ryan Weber is playable.
Yeah, no interest in him at all. Atlanta's just going to destroy me. He's not a good pitcher. I don't care how cheap he is. Don't use him.
No, Atlanta's a top stack on the slate. And then, it's the same thing I said yesterday. And like they didn't do everything that we wanted from him on Monday, but I'm going right back to the well. I love Atlanta here.
I'm right there with you. Weber is not good. The bullpen is not good. It's pretty much the same scenario over again. Like, just Atlanta outside of Coors, like just if we're talking about raw points, is probably the top projected stack on the slate. They might draw a decent amount of ownership. Their price tags aren't terrible, and there's definitely some cheap bats in here. So I expect them to be fairly highly owned. I think a lot of people are going to double stack Coors with Atlanta and some of the cheap bets. It's fully understandable. I'm going to check on the ownership, but as of right now, like raw points, they're one of the top stacks on the entire slate. Maybe the top stack outside of Coors.
Oh yeah, and obviously you got to look at the lineup comes out. Like Duvall's cheap enough that there's some cheaper bats here, but I love it. I love Atlanta here, and then on the Boston side, man, this lineup is ugly, and that's one of the reasons that I was saying Anderson. But like, I don't hate Devers or like Verdugo, but like you're paying up for Devers. Like he's still really expensive. Verdugo's prices come up too.
Yeah, no, that's the real problem. Is the prices just makes him out of play for me. I'm not going to argue with Verdugo or Devers, but like the bats I want are just far too expensive. I'm not stacking them up. I'm probably not using any Boston bats.
Yeah, like if JD's out, you got to beat Verdugo, Devers, and Bogarts. Like that's one of the reasons that Anderson's not the worst play on the slate at his price. So ugly lineup for the Red Sox right now. Mets, Orioles, Kilomi against Wojciechowski. Any interest in Franklin Kilomi?
I mean, if you need something cheap, I don't hate it because they're going up against Baltimore. I know Baltimore hasn't struck out at a huge rate so far this season. They've had better bats than we expected, but like if you really need someone cheap, he's fine. Like I don't know how late he's going to go into the game. Like his stuff minors were decent, although I don't think he played last year. Like he hasn't looked terrible. He didn't have control in his second start, but they called him up. He may be able to go 85 pitches. If you really need someone cheap, it's up against Baltimore. It's not a great stadium, but I don't hate the move.
Like he's the other guy that you can potentially look at on this slate. Like him and Anderson are the two guys that I think are cheap enough that you could look at. But I like Anderson a little bit more depending on what we see lineup wise. This kid has a 13% swing and strike rate, but 15% walk rate. Command has been an issue with him so far. So I definitely worry about that a little bit. On the other side, you go Wojciechowski. Like he doesn't do anything well. It seems like a lot of his stats are rough.
Yeah, no real interest in him. There was a small period of time where he was striking out everyone last year. Not so much the case this year. This is not an easy lineup for a righty, so I'm not using him.
Yeah, they're gonna throw 6-7 lefties at him. Let's talk Mets bats. Anything standing out to you here?
I mean, the prices on them are all decent. Nothing's great, so I don't mind a stack. I mean, Baltimore's not got a great bullpen. Woj is not that great of a pitcher. Like Alonso, Cano, Smith, Conforto, Nimmo, all decent plays here. They're all sitting around 4.5, 4.4K. So I don't mind using any of these bats. They all got some pop, and Woj has given up a lot of hard contact to both sides of the plate, a lot of fly balls. He's playing over in Baltimore. So I like the Mets stack today.
Yeah, they're cheap, man. Like I noticed that before we got started. Just some of these guys, like I know like Todd Frazier's like very boom bust. Like you hate playing him, but he's 2.5K. Like he's super cheap. But like look at the price on Conforto. Like 4.3K for Conforto. Like you can make an argument for Conforto as like a cash game play. Alonso 4.4K. You can make an argument for him as a cash game play at these prices. So um I know like Alonso started off kind of slow, but like it's not the worst. So I think the Mets are definitely in play here. Ballpark upgrade definitely helps. On the Baltimore side of things, anything standing out to you?
Maybe Santander, but he's too expensive. So not really. Like if he gets wild, then it's not gonna. It may lead to a decent amount of runs, but it's not gonna lead to a whole lot of fantasy points. So I'm out on the Baltimore bats. They're all too expensive.
Yeah, Castle ever since he got called up has been hitting. But righty matchup, we don't know really what to expect out of righty matchups for him yet. Santander's always a guy you can play. It's just he's super expensive, so it's really tough to just kind of make him work on this slate. Tigers and Brewers. We got an opener situation with the Tigers. It'll be Fulmer and then Daniel Norris and then Adrian Hauser on the other side. Do you have any interest in this whole like opener situation for Detroit?
No, neither are gonna go long enough. Neither of them are worth it.
Yeah, like I think one game Norris like went a decent amount of pitches, but overall I'm gonna probably pass. And then on the other side, like I love Hauser. Like it's a righty against Detroit. Like it's hard not to like a righty against Detroit. Look at the strikeout rates on these guys: 29% for Candelario, 41% for Goodrum. Like there's 5-6 guys in this lineup with strikeout rates over 29% against righties this season.
Oh yeah, no, it's a righty who is very good against righties and struggles against lefties, and the lefties are Reyes, Candelario, Goodrum, Stewart. Like they're not good. They're not good bats. Like Hauser is one of the top plays on the entire slate. He's far too cheap considering his matchup. Like, yeah, use Hauser. Hauser, like he's one of three guys in this price range where I just may end up going all in on 8K guys in this slate. But I don't know how lineup construction will go. But Hauser is probably number one. He might be number two, but Hauser is definitely a guy that you want to get into all your lineups.
He's been terrible recently. I'm willing to overlook that. I think this is a great spot to get a bounce back and kind of get your feet back a little bit. Get through 6 clean innings. Let the bullpen pick up your win for you. I think this is a good one. Like he's had some really high BABIP in the last couple games, and the xFIP is still under 4 in almost every start this season for him. So I like him a lot. I'm with you. Just too cheap for the matchup, and I don't really have any interest in the Detroit bats. Like you can always play Scope as a one-off, but I'm going to pass on these guys.
Yep, no interest in them at all.
Milwaukee, like we're gonna get this whole like righty lefty, opener situation. We're gonna see a lot of the Detroit bullpen here. Do you have any interest in the Brewers at all?
Not really. Like Yelich, Hira are both over 5K. Makes it a little bit tough to stack them. Yes, they have a pretty decent implied run total, but they have just not been great this year. I don't think it's a spot where I really want to go with them. So I'm just like Garcia, if he cracks the lineup and comes back at 3.3K is not the worst idea in the world. He's going to get a few innings against the lefty. So he probably only has one at bat versus Fulmer. It's cheap, but like I'm not going to argue with Yelich or here as a one-off. I'm just probably not doing it.
Ben Gamble's 2.6K. I don't hate that. Like we're gonna get 2 or 3 innings out of Fulmer. He's been terrible this season. Yelich is someone you can pay up for on the slate because he can hit left-handed pitching too, and Daniel Norris is not great. Jed Jerko's hit lefties well this season, but may only get one at bat against the lefty. So, like, for the most part, I'm probably gonna stay away from the Brew Crew here. Indians and Royals. We got Zach Plesac against Matt Harvey. Any interest in Plesac?
I mean, he was obviously on the COVID list. He hasn't pitched in a little while, but prior to that, he was pitching fantastic. Like 31% K rate, 2.6% walk rate, 3x FIP. Like, he was pitching really well. I'm slightly worried about his pitch count coming back from this. Like, I want to hear something about it, but if his pitch count's going to be all right, he's drastically improved since last year. Like, I'm trying to figure out why, and I look through things, and it's kind of his pitch mix. Like, his changeup is going a whole lot better this season, which allowed him to get a whole bunch more Ks versus lefties. He's got a 50% whiff rate on his changeup. His curve has been great. Like, he's pitched super well. I don't expect him to draw a ton of ownership. If I hear that he's full go for full amount of pitches, which I know Cleveland loves to do, he's going up against the Royals. There's a lot of strikeouts in this lineup. He's one of the other 8K pitchers that I really love here. And, like, judging what I think ownership's going to be, I think he's going to go way under owned if we get information about how many pitches he's going to go.
Like, he didn't like actually get COVID though, right? Like, he was one of the one he went out in like Chicago or something like that, and like he broke protocols for like the Cleveland Indians, and like the president of the team was like, "Oh, there's no place for him right now."
That was the Clevenger situation. Oh yeah, now I remember.
Right. So, I think pitch wise, Cleveland has been a team all season that has kind of let their guys go. I think we see him go over 90 here. I like him a lot. Like, I looked into it as much as I could. I couldn't find anything as far as like how deep, but as well as he's pitched this season, as bad as this bottom of the lineup has been for the Royals, like, this is just a spot at 8,300. I'm willing to take the risk. Like, we have these guys in this 8K range, and like, he's just another one of them that, like, I like a lot. Like, we have Hauser, Plesac, and Valdez, and like, that's one of the reasons that I don't think I have to pay up a pitcher on this slate. So, on the other side, we got Matt Harvey. Like, at one point, Matt Harvey was really good at throwing baseballs. Now he's really good at throwing baseballs that get hit very hard.
Yeah, 60% hard hit rate on the season, 13.8% walk rate. Not using him.
Simply said, my friend. Listen, Cleveland's been terrible this season. It's Matt Harvey. Do we stack him up and hope that we get a good Cleveland game here?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did have 12 runs the other night, so I don't care. It's Matt Harvey. Like, it just do it. Just do it. Like, it's not, you're not happy about it, and that may draw a little bit less ownership than they probably should have, but they do have some good bats in there. They can put up a decent amount of runs. Harvey's not good. Like, just like Jose Ramirez, Lindor are two guys that you want to prioritize. Santana has not been hitting great, but he's drawing a ton of walks so far this season. Reyes can crush the ball, and Harvey has a 75%, very small sample size, hard hit rate going up against righties. Like, Nyquin is 2.6K. Naylor, if he cracks the lineup, is minimum price. They just got him, so I don't know if he's going to be in there or not. But if he's in there, absolutely throw him in, because that's a ridiculous price tag. But yeah, stack up the Indians today.
Naylor would be in there. He pinch hit against Kansas City, so like, he's already with the team. So he'll be in there. So 2.0. Nyquin finally had a bad game. Like, Brad Keller did Brad Keller things. Like, that guy is so tilting.
How's it tilting? You just play against him.
No, like, he just did Brad Keller things. Like, he just went out and threw like 6 innings, got a ton of ground balls, and like, didn't get rocked. And like,
just keep doing it. He's going to get blown up the rest of the season.
I know. I'm going to stack against them all year. Don't worry. Yeah, I like Cleveland here. There's a lot of cheap bats. There's a lot of ways to build this stack. I think they're fantastic. Framil Reyes goes yard here. Like, just go ahead and lock that one in. So, Kansas City, I really don't have any interest in any of these guys.
I mean, either. Soler is probably the one guy I would consider using. He's 4.2K. Like, Plesac has been much better versus lefties than he has versus righties so far this season, but I'm probably fading them all.
Yeah, Here we go. Moving on. White Sox, Twins, Dallas Keuchel, Michael Pineda. Any interest here in Keuchel?
Against the Twins, no.
Like, you got to be able to attack the Twins with like strikeouts. I'm gonna easily pass. I know like the Twins have been bad against left-handed pitching this season. Like, obviously they haven't been as good outside of like Sano and Cruz and a couple other guys, but like I just can't play Keuchel. As far as like Michael Pineda, he's coming back from a 60-game suspension. He threw a simulated bullpen like match a week or so ago, I think is what I read, and like he was around like 70 pitches in that. So like I think he'll probably end up like 80, 85 here if he's pitching well. Do you have any interest in him?
Not really. Again, there's too many other guys in that price range, and he's kind of reverse splitsy. Like, there's a lot of varieties in this lineup, and last year he had a 45% fly ball rate and a 45% hard contact rate to righties. Yes, he can strike guys out. There's a possibility they goes 85 pitches, ends up with 7 Ks, but he's probably at least giving up 2 bombs. Like, I don't see many ways where he ends up outscoring any of the, or more than one of the 3 other pitchers that are slightly more expensive than him.
Let's talk bats here for the White Sox. Eloy Jimenez, like he actually profiles like a top 3 hitter in my model today, batted ball profile wise. Like he hits fastballs really well and he hits sliders really well, and that's what Michael Pineda throws like 90+% of the time against right-handed pitching. So I love him. I don't know if I'll fully stack this team, but like I love Jimenez here. I think he is a fantastic play.
I will fully stack this team. Absolutely. Pineda, yes, he strikes out a decent amount of guys, but he hasn't pitched in a while. We don't know how great he is going to be in this matchup, but we do know from his past that, again, he gives up a ton of fly balls and a ton of hard contact to righties. So Abreu, Eloy, Edwin, Robert, Tim Anderson, even Moncada and Grandal, like I like them all. Like I say this on a very consistent basis. Works out on a very consistent basis, but I'm playing a lot of White Sox today. Like, just you want guys that can give up home runs to them, and Pineda last year, 215 ISO to righties. So I can't expect him to be fully ready right now. So I think that he's going to get beat up here.
All right. Twins.
Cruz
and Snow, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think this is like your home run chasing here. I think for Minnesota, like Keuchel, he gets so many ground balls. Like, you're attacking the guys with fly ball rates like Cruz that, hits the ball really, really hard.
Yeah. And Sano, who strikes out a ton against a guy who just doesn't strike out guys. Like, it's a perfect spot for Sano. He's probably my favorite, but it's him and Cruz, and that's really like you're just taking one-offs.
Texas at Houston, it'll be an opener situation, then Jordan Lyles, and then Frambo Valdez. We're not playing Garcia. Like, he's not going deep here. We're probably not playing Lyles either, right? Like, he has been awful this year.
No, I stack against Lyles every single time, and it's always a great decision.
Yeah, he has been something, that's for sure. It hasn't been good. Let's just say that. Like, that's the easy way to put it. I love Valdez here, Grant. Like, again, I can't stress it enough. Like, this team this year has been just terrible. And Valdez, 113 pitches last time out. Like, didn't think we'd see that. And that's all I needed to see.
Yeah, 61% ground ball rate, 26% K rate, doesn't allow a lot of walks, low XFIP, going up against a team that's just absolute trash. Tons of strikeouts. Like, just play Valdez. Like I said, Plezak, Valdez, and I can't remember. And Hauser. 3 guys that I won't be surprised if I just, like, I don't know how lineup construction is going to go, but I may just put in my thing, like, minimum of this amount of all these guys and just X everyone out of my lineups. These 3 guys are going to crush. Valdez could be the top one. I don't know. They're all 3 in great spots, but Valdez has been great, and there's a horrible lineup going up against him.
Yeah, horrible indeed. We don't even know what the lineup's going to look like, but I don't have any interest in Texas bats. I think Valdez is a top play on the slate, and I'm not gonna overthink this one by any means. Like, I'm just gonna play him. Like you said, like I mostly play 3 lineups on each site, and like there's a good chance that I just mix those 3 guys and just call it a night.
Yeah, that's the smartest thing to do.
Houston bats, man, they've been struggling this year, but we know how bad Lyles has been. Can you make an argument for the Houston bats here?
Yeah, Lyles is terrible. Lyles is
Yeah.
horrible. Like, I get that they haven't been doing a whole lot, but you can
Brantley's
make it.
3.2K.
Yeah, Brantley's 3.2K like he has been this entire year. Brantley's one of the top cash game plays on the entire slate. And then Altuve, Springer, Gurriel, like Tucker. I'm not going to argue with any of these guys. Lyles is absolutely horrible. So play Houston bats. Like it's that simple.
Yeah, they've been terrible this year, but this is a great spot. Tucker, man, like he's a phenomenal play. Springer at 4.4K. Like these guys are they're too cheap here. They're too cheap for a matchup against Jordan Lyles, that's for sure. So I'm with you. I think you can make the argument of just playing against Jordan Lyles.
Yeah.
Support for RotoGrinders Morning Grind is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Listen, no one wants to cut themselves down there. Grant, you don't want to cut yourself down there. I don't want to cut myself down there. I know everyone that's a man and that's been around for a while has had an issue and don't want to see that. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created and just released a new, improved Lawnmower 3.0. Their third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced skin technology pioneered by Manscaped. When I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes, so you can take a longer shave. The waterproof technology allows you to groom in the shower. One of the coolest features in this is the LED light, which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming. They've also upgraded a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. And let's not forget about the charging stand. Show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is convenient charging dock powered by USB. If you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Trim that junk of yours. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AMGRIND at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AMGRIND at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use our code AMGRIND. Use it. All right, moving on. We got Coors, Giants, Rockies, Kevin Gausman, John Gray. Gausman's been good this season.
Gausman's been great this season.
Yeah. Like we just watched the Rockies just kind of flop big time on Monday. They scored 0 runs. Like they didn't do anything in that game. What are your thoughts here when it comes to Gausman?
I don't hate it. I actually don't hate it. Like it's a fastball splitter guy. There's going to be a lot of lefties in this lineup here. Like he can strike out lefties at a pretty heavy clip. I know he's been striking out righties at a much higher clip than lefties so far this year, but like I think he's due for some positive regression going up against lefties, throwing out splitter as often as he does. Like it's not the best pitch for Coors, but it's not the worst. I think that he actually does decent. I don't think I'm using any Rockies, but we'll get to that in a second. But if it weren't for those 8K guys, I'd probably have a decent amount of ownership in him. And in big field tournaments, I would actually use Gausman.
Like, yeah, man, if one of those guys gets scratched or something like that, I don't know. Like, I think you can make an argument more for Gausman than I had originally thought. Like he's pitching Coors once already this season. 16.4 against the Rockies earlier this season. Like that's not a terrible price. Like for his price, I would almost take 16.4. So I think he's definitely in play as far as
like when you look at that too. He only went 83 pitches. He's more stretched out now.
Yeah.
So an extra inning, he could end up with 20 here if he ends up getting the win.
Hey, John Gray looked pretty good in his last start against Arizona, but a lot of people have looked good against Arizona, and like he had a good game against Texas too. I like he's just gonna have to prove it to me. I'm not playing him here.
Yeah, I'm not. I have no interest in John Gray here. It's in Coors, like, yeah, he had a decent outing versus Arizona, but that was in Arizona. At home, he had a decent outing versus Texas, but every other outing has not been great. So I'm not using him. I have no interest.
Did DraftKings just forget like the Giants were going to Coors today? Did you see the pricing on these guys?
I think that they just remembered that they were the Giants.
I guess that's like an argument, right? Like that you can say that, but like I just you look at it and you're like, oh man, oh these guys are cheap. They're really really cheap.
They priced up Yaz.
Well, like they could price him up. He's been crushing the ball this season, so like yeah, but I don't know, man. I feel like the Giants are going to be very very popular in cash games and tournaments on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, Belt's going to be your cash game first baseman. Flores is probably too cheap. Like everyone's too cheap outside of Yaz, and Yaz has just been demolishing the ball. So the Giants are the top stack on the slate because of pricing. Like they're in Coors. John Gray has not been great this season. Like the only argument against playing them is game theory. Same thing is with most slates with Coors on it.
Like there's a lot of stacks I like in this slate. I know there's a bunch of teams that we've talked about. I don't think you have to play the Giants in tournaments, so like I don't think it's that crazy to look elsewhere. Like I do think they're cash games. You got to play these guys. You got to play Bell. You got to play Dickerson. These got to play these guys. They're cheap. But in tournaments, I could definitely see going underweight here. Like that's probably going to be like my expert survey. Like how are you going to be different on this slate? Like I think there's like 4 or 5 stacks that I like just about the same as the Giants. So the Rockies against Gausman, like this might be a spot that I just like say I'm going to be underweight on Coors in general.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I'm gonna. As of right now, my plan is not to use Rockies. Like it very easily could change tomorrow. I haven't created any lineups, but as of right now, I do not want to use any Rockies. Like Gausman has been good so far this season. He has not like his numbers for against lefties don't really make sense. He's given up a large WOBA, large ISO, but he's striking him out. He's not walking. He's not giving up a ton of hard contact. He's not giving up a ton of fly balls. His splitter is good. I don't really plan on using any Rockies at all as of this moment. I'm not going to argue with any of them. Tapia is too cheap, but I'm just out on the Rockies.
Yeah, I can't do it, man. I'm gonna probably pass. Like I said, I think that's a way that I can be different on this slate. So I'm just gonna pass. I think now, like I pull up Lineup HQ and like the Rockies are like 5% owned. That changes everything. Like if they're under 10%, that changes everything. Like I don't care
Yeah, it's
who's
still
pitching.
Coors.
Yeah, like I don't care who's pitching. So definitely want to look at the ownership and see what we're going to be looking at here. Diamondbacks and Dodgers. Alex Young, Julio Urias. Any interest here in Alex Young?
He's been good so far this year, but he's facing the Dodgers. I mean, I know that there were a lot worse versus lefties, but probably not using him. I'd rather go up to like Valdez or any of those guys.
Listen, the Dodgers have been terrible against lefties. Like they're not like much better against righties. They've been terrible. Like they still hit the ball really hard when they make contact, but you look at some of the ISOs and stuff on this team, they've been terrible against lefties. I can't play Young, but like this might be a spot to go underweight on the Dodgers. The Arizona Diamondbacks are terrible. If we got if we had any idea if Arias is going to pitch deeper, like you can make an argument, but like I just can't trust the pitch count. I love the matchup, just can't trust the pitch count.
Yeah, no. And I don't like the price tag when there's multiple guys on the slate that I would rather go with.
Like I can't take a bat in this game. Is there any bat that like stands out to you here?
For the Diamondbacks, probably not.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pass on these bats, man. I can't like either side. Like I don't even.
It's
going to
be 98 degrees is the big thing. Like it's going to be hot, so that's why the Dodgers are at 5.6 run total. Like going with bets, I don't mind. Like Turner, the righties, Pollock's too cheap. I don't mind this spot, and like I'm not in love with it, but the weather makes me want to use some Dodger bats.
Yeah, I guess like Pollock maybe. Betts. You could always talk me into playing some of these guys. Like I know Turner's been terrible against lefties this season, but he still has like a 56% hard hit rate. So like, I guess you could play the Dodgers. Like it's gonna be hot, like you said. I don't hate that.
Yeah, I mean it's weather, and that's it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like what Weather Edge says for this game, like how much it actually bumps it up.
Yeah, check it out, guys. Sign up for premium.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff you can check out, man. Use your tools. Let's move on to the morning grind game, and then we're gonna get out of here. Grant, give me a guy under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts on the slate.
Gausman.
I figured that's where you were gonna go. I'm gonna go Ian Anderson. I think the Red Sox lineup could be really bad. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust?
Corbin.
Oh, I like it. I did say Giolito yesterday, by the way. I'm going to go with Lester. It's always going to be my answer when he's on the slate. Over 4K to hit a home run, not in Coors. Who do you got?
Hoskins.
All right, I like that one. He's crushed it. Like, the slow start is over with him.
It wasn't a slow start. He was still walking at 25%.
Yeah, listen, I hear you.
I say that Cardi agreed with me.
Give me free money, Freddie, on this slate to go yard. Under 4K to get 2 hits. Who do you got?
Brantley.
The freebie.
Yeah,
is what we like to call him. Bonus home run, by the way. Eloy Jimenez, bonus home run. To buy myself a second to find someone under 4K that I liked. I can't remember. Give me Nick Markakis. He's the first guy that I liked that I saw. Give me a stack to score 6 or more runs. Who do you got?
White Sox.
Braves are cheating, right? Like I can't go Braves, right?
Braves, I'll let you have it, but yeah, I took the free square with Brantley, so I can't argue.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Atlanta. I just already said, 2 Atlanta players. They're like I said, they're one of my favorite stacks on the slate. Grant, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Stay in that 8K with pitching, and you'll win money.
We hope so. We hope it's a good day, and we hope those guys pay off. So that's going to wrap it up here for Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow talking some more baseball. Good luck in your contest, and we'll see you then.
See you, kids.